Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week I am joined by Helen Tudor, who is a business mentor, author and visibility strategist who built a multi-million-pound brand teaching entrepreneurs how to attract soul-aligned clients on one social media platform. Now, Helen helps experts rebuild their identity, align their offers and show up as who they really are. Helen's work blends sharp strategy with deep energetics, and she's all about making more money by being more of yourself. She's going to be talking to me about how she burnt it all down and has started again, even when things were going great for her, all because she heard a whisper from her soul. Is that right? Wow.
Sounds like that.
Sounds deep. So Helen, welcome to the show. For people who only knew you in your LinkedIn era, how would you introduce who you are and what you do now?
Well, it's funny because I was listening to that bio thinking, this is all new, especially when you said author. I was like, because my book's only out like this week. I'm like,
oh, is it? Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, Stephanie, it's my author identity. Like it's just fits me like a glove. But yeah, so I'd introduce myself as, you know what? I was thinking about this, like when I'm introduced to people, someone who aren't in the game, I'll just say like, I'm a business coach. Like that's the easiest thing to say. It's like, I'm a business coach or a business mentor. I help people like build businesses. But I think for the more nuanced amongst us, I think how I introduce myself now is like, you know, I'm an expert positioning person. So I teach people how to become the go-to expert in their niche. For people who are plateaued, I think I would say would be the word I'd use. And what I mean by that is the people that I help have been in business a while. They're already fantastic at what they do. They are like doing all of the things. They've bought all of the courses. They follow all of the people, and they've just got themselves completely like overwhelmed and confused. They've made a kind of like a mess on the inside of like, who am I and what do I want to be and who do I want to work with? And then on the outside, it's just kind of getting all kinds of confusing. And then what happens then is that people plateau, and the plateau is like, you can't deny the plateau because it's there in black and white in your cash flow. It's there in your revenue. Like there's no getting away from it in business, right? Business is about making money. And if you can make a certain amount of money and then you just get stuck, it's normally because of this expert identity, expert positioning piece. Now, the reason why I've kind of moved into it is because I've taught strategy for the last 10 years. And like literally only this morning, Sophie, somebody messaged me who I love and respect, got all the time in the world for Dave. And he messaged me and was like, this new thing, like, I just can't, you know, like it was so easy before to see what you did. And I'm like, I know, Dave, this is the problem, but it's so important, the work that I do now, because strategy is easy to sell. Yeah. And I've sold millions of pounds. I actually looked again this morning at my zero. Occasionally I like to run my P&L for like the whole time I've been in business, just to remind myself like how much money I've made, because it just like sets my day off in a good way. So like I was looking at this 3 million whatever I've made, and I was thinking, so easy to sell strategy because you just tell people like, this is what you do. You do these 3 things a day. So I was famous for LinkedIn, right? So I was like, these are the 3 things to do on LinkedIn. You do them every day. And when you do them, they work, right? And that was so easy to sell. And it was so easy to convince myself that because I've made millions doing it, like I've cracked this game. Like I can, you know, I can teach anybody how to make money on LinkedIn. But the truth is, without sounding like ChatGPT, but like the truth actually is that of the thousands of people that bought my program, there was a percentage of people that didn't get a result. And it would be so easy for me to sit here and say they didn't do the work, because the truth is they didn't actually do the work. Yeah. But I've spent the last 10 years, every 4 a.m. wake up thinking, why did they not do the work? Right. So what the whisper from my soul was like, you know, deep down that strategy doesn't work for everybody. You've seen the evidence. I do everything at scale. I've worked with thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, right? Why does it not work for everyone? If it was as easy as we just do the things, you know, you buy the course, you do the program, you invest in the thing, and you do, you know, if it was as easy as that, Like, why are the people that don't do it? What is happening for those people behind the scenes? So what I did is I spent a lot of time working with those people, talking to those people and trying to work it out. Because it'd be so much easier for me to say, well, that's the 80-20 rule. People buy things and don't do anything with them, and it's on them and all the rest of it. And I've probably said that in the past. But what I found was that the reason why my strategies didn't work, or they didn't work, the strategy, is because they weren't aligned with who they were or even what they said they wanted. And that was fascinating for me. Like, I was kind of like, oh, but, I've talked about value, joy, profit and things like that, but I was kind of like, what is it in us as humans that if we're not aligned with ourselves, we're not aligned with our offer, we're not aligned with our ideal client, that means that we can do all the things and not get the result. Because, like, energetically, spiritually, however you want to look at it, our soul is saying we don't even want the success, we don't even want the result. So really, that was my kind of dark night of the soul, really, where I was like, there's a bigger piece at play here. You need to go back a few steps behind the strategy. What is it that makes the strategies work? What is it about the strategies that are like work for some people and not for others? And then that's really what I've been working on for my next kind of piece, which is this alignment with self, offer, client, and also the visibility piece, where the visibility strategies and tactics that I teach and everyone else teaches, like, how can we get people to be self-aware of their own energy, personality and bandwidth to even be able to execute on strategies. So that's kind of like where I'm at, which sounds very messy, but it's kind of I'm just being really honest of like, that's where I've been for the past sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. Any regrets?
No, absolutely not. Because although when Dave messaged me that, I was like, oh, I know, Dave, this is frustrating. The only regret I have is is that it would have been so easy for me to just keep doing what I was doing. I had a really successful business, had a really profitable, repeatable, enjoyable business. I had excellent expert positioning, and this is really what I teach, kind of what I did. But like, I had the best expert positioning I could possibly wish for, really, as a nobody from Warrington, as a middle-aged mormuse, not a business guru of any kind, like, I was kind of like looking at, I was deep in my perimenopause thinking, well, I make £1 million a year. Like, this is great. I'm married. My children are all happy, like, everything's great. Like, why would I mess this up? But no regrets, because I've never felt so alive. It's kind of where I was in 2015 all over again, and I just love the game. So
yeah, no, I get that, and there's a huge value to that. So no regrets, which is awesome, but there must be some scary parts of letting go of a business that was making good money. What have been those scariest parts for you?
Cash flow is always a challenge, I think, and this is what when I talk about the expert positioning, like the pathway really of going from expert identity to expert visibility to expert authority. Like, when you go through that process, each level the cash flow is a challenge, right? Because growth is messy. It takes a lot of money to kind of feed the beast of growth as well. But it's like now I'm like, I'm like writing a book. And, publishing a book is expensive, creating a podcast and, filming it all kind of, and getting it all produced professionally is expensive. The rebrand is expensive. Like, all like the repositioning costs, there's some cost in a reposition. So it's made things like, it's taken me back to those days of like, I need to get this invoice out so I can get that like £1,500 in, so I can use that £1,500 to give it to the brand person. And it's like, it's back in those days of, so again, but it feels exciting and like we're on the hook again. Going from 100k months to like 20k months is like brutal, but brilliant in its own way. So I think that's it's almost like the scary thing, but also the exciting thing, because this is what I talk about money a lot, because it's such a big part of being in business. And I think one of the things that we do is we tend to not talk about it. We don't want to talk about how much we make, or we don't want to talk about how much we've got or not got. And I feel like, I've had some really scary moments. Like I was looking at like a 6-figure personal tax bill with HMRC, and like I found the HMRC app. If you don't know about it, guys, like go and get it because it's really great for your business. And you can literally go on your app, and it'll tell you exactly what you owe, and you can make payments, and you can see where pay. And I remember looking at that at like 90 or 96 grand or something, just thinking, oh, this is the game, right? Okay, I got to get this paid off, which I did. And now every time I look at it, it says you don't owe us anything. It's like, it's just one of those. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I just love looking at it because it's part of the game, and the P&L just doesn't lie. It tells a story. So that's the kind of the bit I'm in. I'm a bit in that precipice between the growth bit again and the success again, which is exciting, but I want to, I'm manifesting my way back out of it now.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And obviously you've had this transition from kind of LinkedIn, Helen, to what all the cool stuff that you're doing now. What would you say has worked really well in that transition period that you would recommend to others that might be thinking about doing a rebrand?
Yeah, for me, it was radical honesty. Like we had someone leave my program like this week, and I'll always be so grateful to her because it was brilliant, because she was just dead honest. She said, I don't want to pay to watch Helen reposition herself. Like I feel like I'm paying to, be a part of Helen's like discovery and like reposition and like rebirth of who she is, right? And great, and obviously let go with love. I think she'll want to come back when she sees how great it is now, but that's up to her, right? Again, she'd be welcome back with love. But what 99.9% of the people in my world, in my paid programs have said is like, it's been so valuable to see you and your rawness and your honesty and like your, the way that you've documented this journey of like, I've realized that even though my business is really successful and I'm really well known and it's really easy and fun and enjoyable, which is kind of what I was aiming for, and what, I just kind of hit I'd gone up the ladder, and it's like, it seemed mad to jump down a snake. Like, but to watch me kind of go through every step of that, of like the realization, the declaration, the confusion, the false starts, the identity piece, and I've actually documented it, and I've been really honest with the people who pay me. Like, this is what I'm doing. And what I've done is I've been learning and doing and teaching all at the same time. And I feel like what I would say to somebody else is like, talk about it, because people want to come on that journey with you. Most people, some people like say like, this is too much for me, but like, the feedback I've been overwhelmingly has been positive, that I've been radically honest in documenting the transition rather than waiting until it was all done and then go, da-da, this is the new version of me.
So have you kept your original community and explained to them that you've transitioned, and then kept them for the new community? That's how it's worked.
Yeah, and that's how it's worked. And again, we had a girl. I do a live call every Tuesday in my paid community, and I was talking about. I was like, I'm so excited for like the new version, and this is what it's going to be like. And I'm back now, and it's September, and like my wall's back, and my red nails are back, and I'm like, the bitch is back. I'm going to make you do all these things, and because I've been a bit like in my spiritual era, and and one of the girls messaged Jillian and was like, I think I'm in the wrong place. I haven't bought this program yet, and I feel like I've kind of like signed up for the wrong thing. And she was like, no, this is the program now. Like, and she was like, oh wow, we get this as well. So they get everything that I already had, and they get the new stuff as well, as a kind of like, thank you for being with me. And then the new people will join the new community. Yeah, I got 2,000 paying customers. Like they love me, and they, when I've been on the live call and I've been crying and saying like, I'm doing this and I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm a fraud because I'm teaching this and I haven't got this kind of stuff nailed on, then they've been absolutely amazing and so supportive and everything. So that would be my advice, is just be really honest about where you're at, and let people come with you rather than trying to wait until you've got it all figured out, because you could wait forever.
So did you give them the choice as to whether they sort of stayed on or they could leave? Or,
of course, yeah. I mean, particularly, so the big shift really has been stepping more into the spiritual stuff, the energetics of stuff, and talking about the spirituality of business, of strategy, and how those two things interlinked and how they support each other. And I said that very honest. Like I said, I know you came for strategy and you paid for strategy, and I'm still going to give you so much strategy, but I've got to talk about this stuff because it's so important. It's the thing I've seen that people need. And we did lose some people on that. Like, as you know, I started pulling cards.
Not for everyone.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but I also attracted a lot more people. So it's kind of like, this is the thing, isn't it? Like you said in the introduction, it's like, how can we get more impact and income from being more of us? And you will obviously lose people on the way. So you've got to be brave enough to do that. And again, go with love. Like, you came for the strategy. And, you know, now I'm talking about, you know, manifestations, and, you know, I'm pulling oracle cards, and like, if it's not your jam, I get it, you know, but for the people who love it, they're like, oh, you
They're
know,
all in. Yeah, I bet. So if anyone watching or listening is in a similar place to where you were a year or so ago, what kind of signs would you say they should be looking out for, that it might be time for them to let go of what they're doing and rebuild?
I've got to owe it to my team, because my team came to me because we were planning out 2025. Was it 25? Was it 26? I can't remember now. No, we're planning out 2026. And we were talking about doing, because we've got a big, you know, there's a machine behind my business. You know, we do these multiple launches. We've got all this kind of stuff. You know, we are famous for the 5-day challenge and everything. So we've got to plan all that in. And we're talking about doing LinkedIn challenges. And my team obviously just like, they could just tell that I can do it, you see. Like, business is show business to me. Like, I can show up and do my thing no matter what. Like, I still love LinkedIn. I still talk about LinkedIn. I can still teach LinkedIn. But they could tell I'd lost that spark. And I think how I knew in myself is, like, outside of the business, I could sense I was not really. Someone asked me once, like, how can you tell if you're aligned as an entrepreneur? Like, how can you even tell? And one of the lines that I used was that an aligned entrepreneur brings joy to the work. They don't have the work bring them joy. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're aligned with who you are and what you're doing, and like what you're teaching and what you're talking about, like, that spills into every area of your life. You know, you are just a nicer person. You're just a better person. You're a better partner, parent, friend. You're nicer to the girl that gives you the coffee. You're nicer to the strangers on the train. And I think when I felt myself, some of that dropping a little bit, you know, just like not really having that joy for my life, you know, that, like, I can't wait to get up and get out of bed and get on with my day. You know, I always say, like, if this is when I talk about ideal client attraction, if there's anybody or anything in your diary that when you look at it, it makes you feel a certain kind of way, it's a sign. Like, these are all signs of misalignment, you know? And it could be a meeting, it could be and for me, I tell you, one of the things that did, like, notes for me, like, I love podcasts, being on them, and I love being a guest expert. They're my two main visibility levers that I've used over the years. And I was getting asked to go on podcasts to talk about LinkedIn strategy. I was getting asked to do training on LinkedIn strategy. And I could just be like, oh. But then when I'd go on a podcast and they'd ask me about other stuff, I'd love it, you know. And when I talk about more like strategic stuff or more spiritual stuff, and I realized then that the topic, although is like, I can do this, but I don't love it, you know. I don't really love it. And you know, and maybe I was doing it because it was easy and fun and profitable, but didn't have that real joy. Whereas now I'm like, get me on that podcast, like, get me on that, you know, guest expert, like, writing the book. I tell you what, another thing for me is 10 years I taught LinkedIn strategy and never wrote a book on it. It'd be the easiest book in the world to write, you know, because it's a 3-point strategy. Like, I've got all the stories, I've got all the case studies, I've got 4,000 testimonials, right? So I'm not going to struggle for content. I could write a book on it and sell a book on it easy, and it would generate loads of more business for me. Never wrote the book. As soon as I started talking about ideal client attraction as a spiritual practice, and really understanding, like, how your clients make you feel and how your business makes you feel and how your expert positioning makes you feel, then writing the book, I wrote in 5 days.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah. And I wrote it in January, and I don't normally work in January. And I booked the first couple of weeks of January off, like I do every year. And I just thought, I'll just write my book then. And I literally, from the 5th to the 10th of January, I sat in my, like, treehouse office and I just wrote the book. And it was the easiest thing and the most joyful thing I've ever done. And when I read the book, all right, the editing was hell, because editing is. But when I read those first few pages, I'm going to get emotional now. Like, I cry. Like, I cried because it felt so good to read. Like it means so much to me. That book means everything to me. Like I cannot wait for people to read. Like I'm getting like full body tingles.
What's it called, Helen? What's the book called?
So the book's called Ideal Client Attraction, a Spiritual Practice. And it's
Right.
really, it's about this and the energetics of business. It's about, how your clients make you feel and how to strategically, how to, understand them and create them and connect with them, but also on a spiritual connection level, how to energetically connect with that future client so that it infuses everything that you do, everything you write, everything you say, every time you show up, like with that energy, that best client energy. So like I wrote it and I know it's going to make a difference to people. Whereas the LinkedIn stuff, it
You'd
kind
love.
of makes a
Yeah.
difference on a, yes, you can like, and I believe it, anyone can go and make 100 grand a year out of LinkedIn, like anybody. I can teach anybody to do that. And I'm happy to do it, but it doesn't give me that deep joy of when I help somebody understand their expert identity and how to build a business that feels good to them. So these are kind of like all these micro things that now, again, with hindsight, I can see I had my value dual profit nailed on, but I didn't realize there was another level to this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really the mission now, is to help people realize what their next level is.
And when does the book come out?
So I think it's going to be available to buy around about the 7th of October.
Exciting,
Yeah,
exciting.
my old copies are coming this
And is it going to be paperback, ebook, or audiobook? Got it on everything?
Yeah, so it'll be paperback or Kindle. Yes.
Great, that is exciting. Well, we'll make sure we pop a link to the book in the show notes for anyone. What are you doing to launch it? Have you got a big plan to do your book launch?
Big plans. So I've got big plans, which is part of what's costing me all the money. So I'm going to do a big book launch party in October. I think it's the 18th, not quite sure on that yet. Like just a big social, why not? And then I'm going on I'm like sponsoring lots of events. So I'm going to lots of events between now and the end of the year with my book, to talk to people about my book and give people my book and, try and find people who want to read my book. And I'm planning some, like, I would class as like guerrilla marketing stuff with my book as well, which aren't all finalized yet, but will be surprises to kind of make it a bit more interesting for people. But it's going to be a big splash. I'm very excited. I want millions of people to read the book, and just to have something at that price point is really exciting for me.
Yeah,
because I just feel like it's such a gift. I spent a lot of last year as well, before I repositioned, trying to go high ticket, working high ticket. And I can do it, I can sell it, and I'm good at it, and I have the positioning for it. It's easy for me to sell things at 10 grand, 12 grand, 20 grand. But that's just not my people. My people are brilliant, but broke. Like, they're so good at what they do and they're so amazing, but they've not nailed it yet. They're plateaued. Like I said, they're stuck at that 2 to 3 to maybe, 5 at a good month kind of stage. So, and I really want to help people break through of that plateau, right? So like and broke is a feeling, by the way, not a fact. So you can make 20 grand a month and feel broke. It's not I've been very broke. I've been in a lot of debt as well. So I feel like there's a bit of a trigger warning on that word. But what I mean by that is just that feeling of frustration. Like, I feel broke, even though I'm not broke, My people are like brilliant, but broke. Like, they're brilliant at what they do. They love what they do. They just need to help with the building of the business so they can do more of the thing that they want to do. So, like, to have a book at like 20 quid or under is just such a gift from me to them, because I just think I want everybody to have it, I just want everybody to read the book and realize what's possible for them.
I'm excited for you for the book coming out, because I've done 3 books, and I just it's a game changer. I think you're gonna love the launch. You're gonna love all the feedback that you get afterwards, and it's that thing for you, especially where you are now in your journey around that. Bringing those people to you, like that alignment, will just happen really naturally from the book. So exciting! Well, I wish you all.
Like childbirth, when I was in the middle of the editing, I was like, I'm never doing this again. But now it's nearly out. I'm like, I've already got the next 3 books written in my head, and I just need a week to get them out of there. Yeah.
I'm like that. I'm like that all the time. Yeah. In fact, it's a year this week actually since my last book came out, and we've been talking about it in the office. And I'm like, yeah, I reckon I could do another one. Helen, if anyone watching or listening hasn't come across you before, where's the best place for them to find you? Is it still LinkedIn, or are you hanging out somewhere else more?
You know what? I've got to be really honest. Since I stopped teaching LinkedIn, I've definitely not been as active on there. But I am still on there. But my favorite place for people, my spiritual home is Facebook. So please come and follow me on Facebook. I'm a prolific Facebook. I speak fluent Facebook. I post on Facebook all day, every day about absolutely everything. So like, I love for people to come and join me over there and have a look at some of my communities, obviously read my book, listen to my podcast. I would really enjoy that. If you could binge Helen, and then if you feel aligned with me, because I'm not for everyone, obviously, but if you do feel aligned from what you hear, like, please do come and follow me, send me a message, like, tell me like any insights that you've got. Like, I live for the feedback, the positive stuff.
Amazing.
I try and avoid the negative, but I live for the positive feedback. My first 1-star review is going to be like,
yeah, it is brutal, but it'll come. But it's part of the process. But we'll make it really easy for people to connect with you, because we'll pop those links in the show notes to make it really easy. So awesome. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.